There are stories that are told. And then there are the stories that are stolen. Characters who are silenced, their true identities buried under centuries of myth and misinterpretation. Perhaps no figure in the Christian tradition has been the victim of a more profound and lasting character assassination than a woman from the Galilean town of Magdala. Her name was Mary. For nearly 1,500 years, she has been miscast in the popular imagination. She is the penitent prostitute, the beautiful sinner weeping at Jesus' feet, the icon of sensual shame redeemed. It is a powerful story. But it is almost certainly a fiction. What if the real Mary Magdalene is a far more radical, more powerful, and more revolutionary figure than the one we've been given? What if her story is not about sexual sin, but about the profound connection between trauma, loyalty, and revelation? This is an archaeological restoration of Mary Magdalene. A careful excavation to separate the historical woman from the layers of legend in order to uncover the voice that the Gospels actually present. The voice of the first and most important apostle. Our work must begin with an act of deconstruction. We must answer the question, if Mary Magdalene is not the penitent prostitute, where did that story come from? The Gospels themselves never make this connection, not once. They introduce three distinct women: Mary Magdalene, an anonymous sinful woman who anoints Jesus' feet in Luke chapter 7, and Mary of Bethany, the sister of Lazarus. The conflation of these three separate figures into one composite character was formalized in the year 591 in a famous sermon by Pope Gregory the Great. His motives may have been pastoral, creating a single powerful archetype of repentance. But the effect was catastrophic. It sexualized Mary Magdalene, reduced her to a symbol of female sinfulness, and, most critically, it obscured her true and far more significant role in the story. It was an act of theological theft, and it has taken centuries of scholarship to begin to reclaim the truth. So, who was the real Mary Magdalene, according to the texts themselves? What does the historical record actually tell us? She first appears by name in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8. She is listed first among a group of women who were following Jesus and, as the text says, providing for them out of their means. This small detail is a socioeconomic bombshell. It tells us that Mary was likely a woman of some independent wealth and standing. She was not a charity case. She was a patron, a benefactor of the Jesus movement. But it is the second detail that provides the key to her entire psychology. Luke tells us she was a woman from whom 7 demons had gone out. Let us resist the modern horror movie impulse to imagine this in terms of spectacle. In the ancient world, demons were a common way of describing a host of afflictions beyond a person's control. It could mean severe mental illness, what we might today call schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or a complete dissociative breakdown. It could mean a chronic and debilitating physical illness, like severe epilepsy. The number 7 in Hebrew numerology is the number of completion and totality. To be afflicted with 7 demons was to be utterly, completely, and hopelessly broken. It suggests a life that was not just difficult, but a living hell. A state of total fragmentation, a consciousness shattered into pieces, tormented by forces it could not control. Her past was not one of sin, but of profound, unimaginable suffering. And from this state of absolute brokenness, she was healed. The Gospels do not detail the process, but the result is clear. And her response to this healing is the second pillar of her true identity, a loyalty that is absolute and unflinching. She is there, consistently. When Jesus travels, she is part of the inner circle of women who follow and support him. And most tellingly, she is there at the end. At the crucifixion, the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and John all place her there at the foot of the cross. Let us appreciate the gravity of this. This was a moment of terrifying political violence. The male disciples, with the exception of the beloved disciple, have scattered in fear. Peter, the rock, has denied even knowing Jesus. Their hopes have been shattered, their movement crushed, their leader executed as a common criminal. To be associated with him was to risk your own life. And yet, Mary stays. Her loyalty is not contingent on success. It is not a faith for the good times. Her devotion is strongest in the moment of ultimate failure, horror, and despair. Why? Perhaps because a person who's been brought back from the abyss of 7 demons is not so easily frightened by the darkness. A person whose life has already been completely lost and then restored has a different relationship with fear. Her trauma did not make her weak. It forged in her a loyalty that was stronger than terror. After the crucifixion, her devotion continues. She is the one who, in the pre-dawn darkness of the first day of the week, goes to the tomb. Her intention is a final act of love and grief, to properly anoint the body of her dead teacher. She is not expecting a miracle. She is expecting a corpse. And this brings us to the psychological and spiritual climax of her entire story, as told in the Gospel of John, chapter 20. She arrives to find the stone rolled away and the tomb empty. She runs to tell Peter and the other disciple. They come, they see, they are confused, and they leave. But Mary stays. She stands outside the tomb, weeping. Her world has ended twice, once in the violence of the cross, and again in the mystery of the empty tomb. Lost in her grief, she stoops to look inside and sees 2 angels. They ask her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" Her answer is heartbreaking. "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." Even the presence of angels cannot pierce her grief. Her focus is entirely on the missing body of the one she loved. She turns, and she sees a man standing there, whom she does not recognize. He asks her the same question. "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking?" And when one of the most poignant moments of dramatic irony in all of literature, she mistakes the resurrected Christ for the gardener. This is a profound psychological detail. It tells us that revelation is not always a blinding flash of light. Sometimes the truth is standing right in front of us, but we are too blinded by our grief, by our own expectations of what we should find, to be able to see it. And then everything changes with a single word. The man says her name, Mary. In that one word, in the familiar sound of her own name, spoken by a beloved voice, the veil of her grief is torn away. She turns and recognizes him. "Rabboni," she cries out. "Teacher." The moment of recognition is not a theological argument. It is not an intellectual proof. It is a moment of profound, personal encounter. The one who healed her fragmented self, the one who cast out the 7 demons, now makes her whole again by simply seeing her, knowing her, and naming her. For someone whose identity was once shattered, The act of being named is the act of being recreated. And what happens next is what solidifies her true revolutionary role. Jesus gives her the very first commission of the post-resurrection era, but he does not tell her to go and build a church or write a gospel. He gives her a simple, urgent message. Go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. Mary Magdalene, a woman, is sent to be the primary witness, the first evangelist. She is to be the messenger of the resurrection to the male apostles who are still hiding in fear. This is why, in the early church, she was given a title of immense honor, a title that was later suppressed. Apostola Apostolorum, the apostle to the apostles. In the patriarchal context of the first century world, this is a social and theological earthquake. The primary witness, the foundational testimony upon which all of Christianity rests, is not a powerful man like Peter or an intellectual like Paul. It is a woman. And not just any woman, but a woman with a known history of profound trauma. This is the radical heart of her story. Her past did not disqualify her. It uniquely qualified her. Her journey through the abyss of the 7 demons gave her a capacity for a faith that could withstand the abyss of the cross. Her experience of being made whole gave her the ability to recognize the one who could make the world whole. The men who had followed Jesus as a political messiah were shattered by his failure. Mary, who had followed him as her healer, was not. Her loyalty was to his person, not to his performance. Mary Magdalene is the archetype of the wounded healer. Her story is a testament to the profound and paradoxical truth that our deepest wounds can become the source of our greatest strength. The parts of our story that bring us the most shame, our own demons, our traumas, our breakdowns, are often the very things that, once healed, give us a depth of compassion and a resilience of faith that is unavailable to those who have never known such darkness. Her story is a sacred permission slip for all who feel defined by their past, for all who have been told by culture or by religion that their wounds make them unworthy. Mary's story declares the opposite. It declares that those who have been most broken are often the ones chosen to announce the breakthrough. That those who have known the greatest darkness are often the first to recognize the dawn. The story that was stolen from her is the story of a patron, a loyalist, a courageous witness, and the first apostle. By restoring her true identity, we don't just honor her. We reclaim a fundamental truth at the heart of the Christian story, that God's first choice to announce the victory over death was a woman who had already been raised from a living death herself. And in her story, we are all given permission to believe that our own healing is the only credential we need to be a witness to the light.